Doully, Simon Doull, a little earlier today, because of course right now it'd be about 3 or 4 in the morning. He's having a beer on the river. 2:23. Summer looks good where you are, Doully. Nice little riverside spot to have a couple of pints.
Well, it's better today, Marty, than it has been the last couple of weeks. Obviously, the end of the Ashes was a bit of a disaster, sadly, with weather, and it's plagued the start of the 100 or the first week and a half of the 100. So finally, nice to have a lovely evening and to sit by the river and enjoy a lager.
No, just on the weather, because we all love talking about the weather. You've lived in London a fair bit of time, mate. Global warming, climate change, everything else. Has it really, is there a marked difference that you have seen over the whole time that you've ever been in England?
Look, last year we had an amazing summer. It was incredible, and then this year we've had a lot of rain. So, I don't know. Do I subscribe to it? No, I don't subscribe to the whole thing. Is it happening? Obviously, it is, because people tell us that that global warming is happening. But I don't know how it works, or haven't really looked into it enough to sort of be too au fait on it, mate.
Okay.
So look, we have good weeks, we have bad weeks, and it's not much different from New Zealand, to be honest.
Well, it just rains here constantly, mate. Although it's not raining today, but it's been raining for about the last year, and it's actually freezing cold. I mean, here we are in August, and snow on the ground in Dunedin. So, all right, the 100, you were rained out in Manchester. The Ashes was rained out in Manchester. Is Manchester like England's Napier, that if you decide you want to break a drought, schedule a cricket game?
Absolutely, yeah. Real shame. Look, the Ashes series, I think when it all boils down, I think England were the better side at the back end of it. Just such a shame that the weather hit. For that the last Test match, the 100's been marred by weather, and not only Manchester, from the north to the south, to be honest with you, for the last 4 or 5 days. So it was good to get the double headers underway today and games finished. It's been some of the games have been a little bit one-sided. I think that would be the one issue that the ECB and that the sort of the tournament hierarchy would be concerned with. In the men's side, there's been just a few too many one-sided games. So that's been a bit of an issue, but all in all, it'll be nice to get the next week and a half, and I think the weather forecast looks terrific for the next week at least. So it'd be just good to get back out there in the sunshine and just put a short sleeve on and do some work again.
Technique-wise, game management-wise, all of those things, is there that big a difference between the 100 and the T20?
I think that the key differences are if you think about. From a bowling point of view, first and foremost, if you want to bowl 10 balls in a row, or if the skipper thinks you're good enough to bowl 10 balls in a row, you can. Power play is 25 balls. So let's say, I'll take Trent Boult, for instance, because we're going to talk about him at some stage. Yep. Trent Boult's opening the bowling for one of the franchises. He can bowl the first 10 balls, someone from the same end. Someone else will bowl 5 balls from the opposite end. And then Trent Boult can come back and bowl 5 from that same end, from the opposite end again, and then another 5. So he could bowl, in theory, 20 balls in the power play, which consists of 25 balls. So and then that's him done. You can only bowl 20 in total, but you can bowl 10 in a row. So I think that's one of the big differences. If you've got a spinner tonight or this afternoon, Adil Rashid was on a roll for the Northern Superchargers after his first 5 balls, kept them on, picked up another wicket. So little things like that where in-game situations can be a little bit different. The 100 was the first competition to introduce the batter staying on strike. The new batter on strike. So if you sky one into the outfield, normally in the old days you would cross, and they'd ask you if you'd crossed, and the guy that was out in the middle would stay on strike. Well, nowadays the new batter is on strike no matter what. So it gives the bowling side just a little bit more of an advantage by not having the set batter at the other end on strike. So there's little things, changes in the laws in and around the game that have, I think, made it better in some ways. Is it vastly different? Mate, you still got to bowl the ball. You still got to hit the ball out of the park, and those are the key the key things for any game of cricket, I guess.
Simon Doull is with us, 98 Test wickets, spends his life all around the world calling cricket. And just when you're thinking about that, Doull, the thing that crossed my mind was I was just thinking, got other things to think about in the show. I was thinking, look, the All Blacks have been named, Springboks have been named, England rugby team's been named. We're all heading over your place so that, gearing up for France, obviously, for the World Cup. We've got the World Cup of football happening down here. And you're talking about cricket. But then, of course, we've got the One Day World Cup coming up as well. So, is there room for all of this, mate? I mean, just so much sport. Yeah, it is, mate. It really is.
I tell you what, Marty, you talk about the Rugby World Cup first and foremost, mate, and so disappointed because I committed to a charity golf day right at the start of the summer. I was asked about a charity golf day on Friday the 25th. I think it is 25th, 26th of August. It's coming up in a couple of weeks. And committed to it. And dare I say it, 3 weeks ago, a mate of mine on one of my WhatsApp groups says, I've got tickets for Twickenham if you want to come and watch the All Blacks and the Springboks play on a Friday night in London. I thought, oh, no, please. So real shame. But look, it'll be great to have the All Blacks over here. I don't know what sort of crowd they'll get for the All Black Springbok game. I'd imagine
it's sold out. It's sold out, mate. Yeah.
It is sold out? Yeah. So I had tickets, but I've had to give them away. But it's only just down the road from me as well, where I am, which would have been absolutely fantastic. I can't think of a better way to kick off the Rugby World Cup campaign, although some will say that's already kicked off.
Let's talk about Trent Boult then, named in the Black Caps for the one-day series against England. I don't know what significance these matches are going to have in terms of the one-day World Cup, but, him back in says everything, doesn't it? He wants to play. The door has always been left open for him, and he will be in that Black Caps squad in India. No question about it, injury obviously permitting.
Absolutely, and rightly so. And, we've talked about it quite a lot on the show in the past about the service that Trent Boult has given to New Zealand cricket over a long period of time, in excess of 300 test wickets. He is a key component in any white ball format as far as I'm concerned, and he has to be part of that World Cup side. If we are any chance of making the semi-finals, and I say that with all due respect, I think without Kane Williamson, our chances diminish quite significantly. So if Kane is fit, and I understand they're keeping the door open for him, which is the right thing to do. I mean, if
they have
he said 2 days before the tournament, I'm ready to go.
Absolutely.
He's in, as far as I'm concerned. You can't leave one of the best players that probably the best player New Zealand's ever seen, and one of the best players the world's seen in the last 20 years. You can't give him enough time for my liking.
Well, in terms of the rules, though, mate, if say, for example, he was able to bat, but he can't run, would we be able to select him and have a runner alongside him, or can that only happen?
No.
Oh, okay, right, if he gets injured at the time.
Not at all.
Right.
No, if he's injured, he's out. So, look, you name him in the provisional 20-man squad, I think it is, or they have to name 20 by the 3rd or 4th of September, I think. I mean, give me a couple of days on that, but that's around about the time that they have to name a provisional squad. And from that provisional squad, you must name your 14 or 15 that will tour India. And that's the, that's the time. And I don't know when that exact time is, but that's sort of, it will come closer to the tournament, which starts with, of course, New Zealand, England, on the 5th of October in Ahmedabad, which will, again, more than likely be close to sold out, which is over 100,000. And it's just going to be amazing. But as I say, look, we need Trent Boult, and New Zealand need him massively. If he is there and Kane's there, then we are a chance of making those semi-finals. If only one of them are there, look, our chances diminish dramatically, I think.
Couple of questions about Trent Boult. Would you have the same attitude about every single player in the squad, or do you have the attitude that, look, not everyone is Jonah Lomu, the dearly departed. You've got to treat every individual on their merits, and Trent Boult is Trent Boult. The other part of that question is, he's been playing MLC in the United States and those kind of leagues a bit Mickey Mouse. Is he going to be the Trent Boult that we want him to be? Because I had this argument with Lachlan yesterday, and I said, look, Trent Boult's got a massive ego. He's an absolute competitor. He is thoroughly professional in the way that he prepares. There's no way he's turning up to that World Cup if he's not Trent Boult.
100% agree with you on that front. He will turn up and he will be ready to go. His only issue and the only thing from switching to all of these T20 tournaments, all of these short tournaments, is getting through 10 overs. Is the 8th, 9th and 10th over, is it as good as it was 2 years ago when you're in your pomp? And that will be up to him to get that right for this England series. 4 games in England leading into the World Cup. So he's got a good chance to prove himself in as far as, bowling 8 to 9 to 10 overs in that series, probably in 2 at least of the 4 games. I don't know that he'll get through his full quota of 10 overs in all 4 games. And we don't know what the weather's going to be like in September either, Marty. So those would be the little things that he has to go through. But look, ultimate professional. He's always been an athlete. He's always been a runner. He's always been a guy that's been incredibly fit. And he will be no different turning up to any of these games for New Zealand and England. And he'll be right and raring to go, knows the conditions well as far as India is concerned. I think he's improved his skills at the back end of an innings. So what we call the death bowling skills. I think the T20 tournaments have really improved those skills. I didn't think he was the best death bowler going back 3, 4, 5 years. I thought those were skills, and they're the only skills, because he's probably, in my opinion, one of the best we've ever seen with the brand new ball.
Bowler, yeah, hell yes.
But I just thought there was probably his work-ons were probably the last 2, 3 overs. And I think those have got eminently better in the last 2 to 3 years as well. So for me, he's coming back into this New Zealand side probably a better bowler, in my opinion.
You don't mind the specialist treatment. You've worn this black cap. You've played for the country.
No, not at all.
Okay. But would you open the door for everybody, or is it just
horses?
Okay, fair enough. That's cool.
Yep, horses for courses. Each, it's like the All Blacks saying that everyone can go and have a sabbatical. No, they can't. Dan Carter can, Richie McCaw can, Brodie Retallick can.
Artie can.
And they deserve it. Artie can. They deserve that for the reasons that we've just talked about. They are in the top echelon of their craft in the world. And if we want to hold on to these people, if we want them to still pull the fern on, then we have to allow them a little bit of leeway. Are we going to allow that to everybody? No, we're not, because not everybody commands their position. Not everybody owns the position in the team. So I don't have any issue with it whatsoever.
Finally, Premier League underway this weekend, mate. And look, I tell you what, as much as we're going to butt heads all season about this, the cruel reality is that up there somewhere, Doully, is Man City, and I think my mob was 17 behind, and yours were a few more points behind. And that hurts me more than anything else. We can sit here and we can arm wrestle all, and beat winning at Anfield, winning at Old Trafford. All of those things are important to us. But we're so goddamn far behind. Isn't that what we should be aspiring to? We've got to get back to that level, mate, or somehow get to that level.
And how do we?
How do you?
How do we?
Well, you sell your club to the Qataris. That's the only way you can bloody do it, mate.
That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, it's just it's incredible. The gap is there for all. It was there for all to see last year.
Clear as.
They have their moments where they sort of, they might have an off day now and then, but there's, I think there's probably 2, 3, 4 teams in the competition that if City have an off day, beat them. If we have an off day, if you have an off day, there's 11, 12, 13 teams that can beat us. And that was shown last year when we talked about Brentford. Who would have thought when I was giving you grief about Brentford or Bournemouth at the start of the season, who would have thought that I'd be sort of sucking on lemons later on in the season for the very same reasons. It's just, it is one of those situations. Look, who have you guys got first up?
Wolves, mate. We were away at Wolves. No, sorry, home to Wolves.
You're away at Wolves. Yeah. You're at home to Wolves. We're away at Chelsea.
Yeah, hard game. Not easy to start.
Tough one first up. Thanks very much for that. And City kick things off away to Burnley. Great doco on Burnley as well, actually, just playing on Sky TV here in the UK. The rise and fall of Burnley and the whole story.
Not the kind of place you take her out for dinner, though, is it, mate? I mean, you're not going. Let's go to Burnley for the weekend, love.
No, she's not asking that question either, to be honest with you, Marty. Hey, hun, let's go to Burnley this time.
Devlin.
Yes, can we do it?
The platform.